What if I told you some of the most dangerous ideas aren't the ones we debate, but the ones we never question? From childhood, we are told what is right, what is wrong, what to say, and what never to talk about, which I believe is a good thing. But at the same time, isn't it important to question our morality when we grow up and we are able to think for ourselves and have at least a basic understanding of what is right and what is wrong? This episode is just that, challenging norms, questioning traditions, and sparking real conversation about marital issues and abuse, gender roles, and society as a whole. Can we have a productive and open dialogue in our society, especially with the opposite gender and perhaps amongst different generations as well? Let's find out. It's a woman's obligation to satisfy a man's physical desires after marriage. Whatever happens between a husband and a wife should remain behind closed doors. If it's between husband and wife, then it's not grape, it's legal. This is a society we are living in, where we have more statements than rules and knowledge of rules. And I must highlight, statements are not just targeted to one gender, but both genders, or in current society, all genders, right? Before we start our conversation, I want to know your first impression or your first thought. What comes to your mind when statements like this are said in front of you, or you hear a gossip which resonates with such statements? What's the first impression that comes to your mind, or what's your first thought?
Yeah. So you asked me that what comes to my mind when I hear the word grape.
Not just the word grape, these specific statements, like it's a woman's obligation to satisfy a man's physical desires. Whatever happens between a husband and a wife should remain behind closed doors. And in our society, I'm not just gonna say in Pakistan or India or Nepal or countries like this. In the whole world, you would see in a lot of developing nations, in a lot of countries which have cultural background, they share similar sentences, not just sentences, similar cultural ethics or norms where society is bound to hear such statements, and not just from men but also from women themselves. You can hear such sentences from mothers, grandmothers telling their daughters that, it's your obligation.
So I'll start I share my journey from back in 2016. So I started my research when I was doing my MPhil leading to PhD. I chose the topic marital grape. The primary reason was that the primary issue which ignited me towards this taboo topic. When I say taboo in Pakistan, it really means a big deal. When you talk about grape, and specifically when it is attached to marital grape. So the issue which bothered me was the same that whenever as a kid I wanted to raise some issues, some incidents which were happening in public spaces at home, which were making things uncomfortable for females, for girls, like have some the natural things with their biology, like when they are bleeding monthly, and when they are facing harassment at public places, or when they are not comfortable inside their homes. So I wanted to raise the question. I wanted to ask my family members, my friends, my teachers, that what is the issue? Why we are facing this problem, and what is the core behind it, how I and my friends or family who are facing this can get out of it. So it was bothering me, and the responses from people, the responses I got, you're not supposed to talk on this. Oh my God, have you talked about this with your male friends or your cousins or your brother? So these are the topics which should remain we call as saat parda. So
Hush, hush.
that hush hush topics. So that basically ignited me to make gender studies, specifically the issues relevant to women physiology, women psychology, women rights, and their well-being, primary aspect.
What's the first fear that comes to mind? Like how you mentioned right now that when you wanted to talk about these subjects, these topics with your peers, your family members, everybody was a little bit conscious and everybody was maybe fearful for you that maybe if you're going to raise such questions, it is going to affect you. Like how it's not just, I personally believe, and when I am trying to discuss certain things in my family, and my background has been from outside of Pakistan a lot. Like I have lived my whole adulthood outside of Pakistan. So I grew up in a culture where it is much more easier for me to raise topics which are more taboo, and I don't have to think about how society is going to react. Okay, society is going to react regardless of whether you are in a European country or you are in a Western country or you are in an Eastern country. But the way they are going to be reacting or retaliating is the reason why I feel people feel a little bit more threatened in Eastern region. When I say threatened, I mean physically threatened. In European countries or in Western culture, it is much more easier to raise voices and face a backlash, even you can say like legal repercussions, but not physical threat. But I feel like in Eastern Bloc, it is highly likely you can face physical threat. And this is one of the reasons why we see, even in politics, a lot of people who want to raise topics which are taboo or which are sensitive. They rather speak about those subjects when they are not in Eastern Bloc than when while they are in Eastern Bloc. So, do you feel that this is one of the reasons why your family members are trying to keep things hush hush for you to raise such topics?
See, it's not just about my family members. It is, when I say family, it means not just my family, but it is Pakistani culture. If
Yeah.
majority families in Pakistan. My family allowed me to talk and raise questions. That is why I did my PhD. But see, the thing is, where it starts from very grassroots level. When we talk about Eastern societies and Western societies, the culture in Eastern societies is that we are a very homogeneous society in terms of sharing basic beliefs and values. We want to live in a very closed community. We live in closed communities. We have certain culture and values. We want to practice same traditions. So we need affirmation from people. We need affirmation. We, as a society, want to remain part of the group. So if we want to remain part of the group, we are obliged to follow the regulations of the majority people who are in the group. So I can say that we are a people pleasing nation. We are people pleasing nation. So if
Yeah.
we want to please the community we belong to, then we have to be very careful of the things we do, because we just do not want to leave our in group. We are very because we are also very dependent on the family business, and the things are changing now. But if I say majority, more than 60% of people in Pakistan rely on family business. They are not near to urban lifestyle. So you and me
Mhm.
talking about our reality and generalizing it with the popular reality of Pakistan will not be fair. It won't be fair. So majority of people in Pakistan, they are very connected to their tradition, and the primary reason is the shared values, as I mentioned. So we are very
Mhm.
scared to raise questions which can lead to which can make our associated members upset. We want recognition. We want to associate with them. We want that our families are connected, because at the end of the day, everything. If I talk about, I sound very rude over here, but if I talk about culture of Pakistan, Pakistani culture. So, what is
Yeah.
Pakistani culture? What we majorly do, we do marriage, then we want kids, and then we go to funerals. These are the major social gatherings in Pakistan. Can you believe it? There is no concept of housewarming parties or graduation parties or any other life landmark we want to celebrate. These are the main functions we do. We when a child is born, we just the family is there when someone is getting married, or someone is dying. So we are connected, and this is also about ideology. What is the core ideology? Do we have, can we identify our basic principles? What do we really want as a society? We just want to live together. We just want to get our children married to our close community or the people we love, and we want good, healthy, fair kids with them. So, what do we expect from this kind of society? And I'm saying society. It doesn't mean that I am targeting you, me, and our families, but I am talking about the majority people living in Pakistan, or I'll say the whole subcontinent region. We are all about marriage and having kids. What else do we celebrate?
I want to play devil's advocate over here, and I want to justify why we only celebrate these three things primarily. It's not, I personally believe it's not just this. We have other events as well, but primarily, you're right. Yes, we do celebrate only these three things. And that justification will come with a lot of other, you can say, issues themselves as well. So, I mean, we can justify those, but it's like a domino effect, like you come up with like, okay, we have this culture because of this, and then that statement comes that, like, okay, because of this, we have this. For example, right now, our culture is that if we are going to celebrate something, it has to be big so that people can recognize that you have spent money. If you're going to have a wedding, it has to be big so that people can appreciate that you have spent money. This is our culture, right? People actually take loans to get married so that they can justify that they have actually appreciated guests to come to their wedding. And those are the people who are still going to criticize that the food wasn't nice, the kebabs were not properly cooked, or something like this. But this is the society that we live in, that you need to spend more to justify that it is a celebration. So let's say if you're going to celebrate even a small thing, let's say, for example, a birthday, and you call like 20 people, you have to think about food for 20 people and proper food. And that's the difference. And like, the funny thing is, I see a similar situation in Mexico, but they are quite down to earth when it comes to celebrations. I've seen spreads in Mexican celebrations which are very basic food, like chicken sandwiches only, or some people just bringing bread, some people bringing something else, and the idea of their parties is gathering. So whatever is on the table, it doesn't matter, everybody comes. And this was our culture before as well. Maybe not now. I mean, I haven't seen that culture primarily in the society now, but when I left Pakistan, it was still a culture. We still used to celebrate together. So we had like three or four families. Every family would come and bring some sort of food. Like maybe my aunt is bringing sandwiches, the other aunt is bringing chicken nuggets, or the other aunt is bringing korma or something. But everybody used to bring something so that it is not difficult for one family to organize a whole feast. And that was normal. Our Eid celebrations, it was the same thing. Everybody brings one dish, and that was the concept of one dish. But now it is dying, right? I personally think that now it's dying. Maybe some families are still following the same rule, but it is still dying. And I feel like this is one of the reasons why it is becoming difficult for us to actually have a lot more celebrations.
Yes,
So that's my
right,
suggestion.
Faizan. You are right. You are right. But it's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere. It's happening globally. You call it globalization. You call it the reason of modernization or westernization. But we have shifted our reference groups. We have what we do, that we are more connected to the virtual reality than the actual physical reality. We have
Yeah.
more friends on Instagram and Facebook, and more people we are connected on these social platforms, virtual social platforms. But what about the social life, the
Yeah.
real social life, the people we actually know? So we see a fake reality on Instagram. We see heavy, now see reels of very lavish avatar parties, and we know that it was accustomed to be shown glamorous. But I'm impressed with it, and I know it's fake, but I'm impressed with it. And then I make myself fake to copy that fake reality, and this is a vicious cycle that will go on. And it is not just happening in Pakistan, it is happening globally. We can say that it's the gift of capitalism. They are playing with our psychology and we are doing it. But we at the end are paying cost of it. Our culture, our values, our core celebrations are. Yeah. But people who want to celebrate, they still celebrate, right? I personally feel like this is more of your own personality, your own culture, how what you want to do. I still see people celebrating their birthdays. I don't celebrate my birthday. If somebody wants to celebrate my own birthday, I'm happy to do that. It's personal preferences, I personally feel. And I feel like a lot of it, I don't want to generalize by saying that maybe women are more prone to celebrations. They enjoy celebrations more than men. But that's what we see in society. I mean, whenever there's a celebration going Faizan,
on,
sorry to cut you
you
off
would
over here.
see.
Sorry to cut you off over here. But
No
I
worries.
just want to ask
No
you
worries.
a question. Do you feel upset if people
Sure.
calls you for not celebrating your birthday, and if you people say that Faizan, you might be alone and there is no one to celebrate your birthday, and that is why you don't do it. So, do you ever bother about this? I don't get upset. I mean, for me, it's not, but I can understand like a lot of people it is. And I could sense it. You know, like for example, like it's something like when you see somebody who is going on a stage to receive an award and he falls down and he stands up and he's smiling, but you can see from his face that it's a fake smile and he's trying to control like how embarrassed that person is feeling. It's something like this. Like if somebody says that, oh, I'm okay, but you can sense on their face that they're not okay. Or if it's your birthday and nobody gave you gifts and you just say that, oh, it's okay, I don't care about my birthday. But you can sense on his face or her face that, like the person is actually sad. He's genuinely upset that, like nobody wished that person or nobody gave him a gift or something. For me, I feel like birthdays for me is very, you can say, it doesn't matter to me. If somebody celebrates my birthday, I really appreciate it. And I am involved in that happiness 100%, because I personally feel like if somebody genuinely cares about me, I don't care about the birthday, but I care about that person's feeling that he cared about me, he recognized my importance in his life, and that is what makes me happy. And that is why I don't understand, even in Malaysia, even in Uzbekistan, I realize like a lot of people, when they're celebrating their birthday, they celebrate, like the person whose birthday it is, that person is celebrating his birthday and he's spending all the money, inviting people, organizing the food, every single thing, and he is spending all the money. And that is something that I don't understand. Like, you're celebrating that you're born and you're spending money that's to include people. Power. That's the time to show your status. That's what our maybe celebrations are maybe left for. Yeah. To show that how much we can. That's our strength. We can show, because we do not get to showcase our power on various platforms. We are very suppressed as a society. So whenever we get a chance to take a leadership position, whenever we get a chance to manage or organize or to take things independently, then we do it with all our heart and go to it, just to show our power and strength. That what type of dress I wear, how much dishes I can arrange. And that's how things are happening. It's sad, but it's true. Yeah. We are doing it only for recognition. And this is the thing, like now I want to connect this back to the main topic, because I feel like what you mentioned, that we want to show off, and at the same time when you mentioned about our need to build a society, our need to be close to each other, and that is where our gossip culture comes in, because we like to share. We want to live in a society where I want to know what my neighbor is eating. I want to know what my where my neighbor pooped even. This is the culture that we live in, and this is the society we live in. And this is not just in Pakistan or India. This is global. And probably in European culture, they call it the grandma culture. Usually, grandmothers do that. Like they have their own small group where they share all the information: who's getting married to who and who has spent so much money in what. You buy a new car, how much is the car, the person got a job, what kind of a job it is, all of the basic things. And that's the thing, like it is much more, you can say, like
okay for two grandmothers to talk about a marriage between two young adults than two adults sitting together and talking about their marital affairs between each other. And I feel like this is a big problem. When a husband and wife cannot talk about their issues with each other, and the wife has to go and talk to her mother to talk about her marital affairs, that's a problem. And that's what I see. And I grew up in this culture where if there is a problem with, let's say, my sister or my mother, they will not share with me because they will say it's a woman's problem. So when a child is growing up, when a boy is growing up to be a man, he grow up in a culture where he feels like there will be a lot of problems with his wife that he cannot even discuss with his wife, and he can see that his wife is suffering, right? And when that conditioning happens, when a wife wants to share that thing with the husband, he feels weird. Oh, this is you're not supposed to talk to me about this. Go talk to your mother about this. Sure, sure.
The main issue is conversation, the dialogues. We are not having dialogues. Sorry to say, but
Yes.
daughters are no, or they are also not talking to.
Yeah.
Can you believe me
Now.
that in our society, the daughters are not sharing their puberty issues, the issues they are facing in their marital life, the issues they may face because of their sexuality. They are not sharing it with their mothers even. You would be amazed that when I was doing my research on marital rape, and I did not take the word rape and not even the word marital rape. I just, because it was a grounded study, so I wanted to know what is the primary perception and reality they have. So many women shared that they are hesitant to share their issues specific to their sexuality with their mothers. And whenever they have tried to do it, there was a hush hush call. And the mother went so uncomfortable that the girls started to feel guilty that maybe they have done something wrong. So the problem is with open dialogues. We are not talking to our mothers. We are not sharing our issues with our sisters. Can you imagine? There was a participant in my study, and I had three focus group discussions with her, and she had no information about, she had zero awareness about rape or marital rape. And when we met for 2 to 3 sessions, and then she realized that my eldest sister is a victim. She is a victim because I've seen these behaviors in her. I've seen her doing this and that action. I've seen her going to gynecologist and complaining or saying these specific words about her husband. So yeah, she is a victim, but I don't know about it because whenever she cries, whenever she wanted to talk my mother, my first of all, what happened that my mother always asked me to leave the room. So we uh, never talk. We never talk about women issues. We don't talk about women issues. Back in 2016, I was teaching in a girls' college, and in that college, we had a project day in which my class had some project related to women well-being, their mental distress and physical distress and emotional distress. And there my students prepared a poster where they showed a pregnant women with a baby bump. So the management came and they asked me to remove this poster because for them boys colleges are also visiting, and this might be offensive for many male colleagues and male students, so they cannot see a pregnant woman's tummy. We do not talk about the menstruation issues women face. We don't talk about postpartum depression. We don't talk about the first time women or male go through sexual intercourse. What should they expect? It becomes a nightmare for many because there is no dialogue. They have no awareness what is going to happen. Women are kept in our majority culture, women are kept segregated. They are not allowed to have male friends. They are not allowed to talk about these issues with their female family members, and they're not even allowed to go in a playground and do cycling and do the basic grocery and buy some snacks from the very near general store. So they are at home. And what happened? At the age of 20 or 22 or 25, they get married. And the first encounter they are having with a male is their husbands. And they're sitting in a room locked with a male person. A man is there. A first time interaction with a man, with having no awareness about what is going to happen, how it is going to turn out for me, for him. What should I do? What to know my rights, to know my responsibilities, I should also know my rights. So who is going to tell me? Yeah. There is no information in books. Teachers are not telling me. My mother is not sharing it with me. My elder sister is not sharing it with me because I might be scared and I might back off. So no one is telling me. The only source of information can be my friends.
Yeah, or YouTube.
Or YouTube, yeah. And that has become possible now. Even 10 years back, it was not that easy.
I would say a statement which a lot of people might not agree with or might feel offensive a little bit. Maybe. I think we talk a lot about women's empowerment when it comes to women's well being. In return, we are not empowering men enough to resolve their women's issues. And at the same time, we are taking away whatever left is their power. Because the reason why I'm saying this is every single thing you said right now makes sense, right? A daughter cannot go to a mother to talk about her affairs. And even if she does, because I don't want to trigger culture system, I don't want to trigger religious beliefs because those are something which is personal. I don't want to go into that, okay, this is Islamically correct or not. I don't want to go into that, like this is culturally correct or not. It is our culture and we have to embrace it. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that people have to suffer, right? When it comes to a daughter not being able to talk to a mother, let's say even if she is, the mother will be afraid that what if she raises a voice on this and her marriage gets cancelled or she gets a divorce because of her raising a voice. That is the first thought that every mother gets. And no mother wants her daughter's house to be broken. And that is why they will just simply say to their daughter that, like, oh, you just keep quiet because you're a woman. But what if the husband is understanding, but he doesn't know? And that is the problem, because if we are not going to empower the husbands, we have seen in society where a husband who feels empowered, who understand his wife's issues, they standing up for their wife's rights even against all odds. We have seen wars happen because of a man standing up for his wife or a person that he loves, for their mothers. A son can stand up for his mother. Why won't he stand up for his wife? And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people say that, like, but husbands don't do that. We have seen husbands do that. If a husband really loves his wife, if he feels the importance of his wife, he will do it. When people can do something for love, we are not talking about husband and wife loving each other. We have just put a label because it's husband and wife. So it's not real love. It's not like love at first sight kind of thing. It's an arranged marriage. But when people are fighting for love before marriage, it's okay. So this is my concern. Why can't an arranged marriage turn into love? I've seen my own parents. They are so aggressive when it comes to protecting each other. I've seen my father fight with everyone when it comes to protecting my mom. If that's not love, I don't know what is. Even though their marriage was arranged.
One, you have highlighted many potential points that it's about women and men's empowerment is important, and that religion is
Yeah.
personal, and
It has to be a balance. That's
yeah,
what I'm saying. When I say empowering men, I don't mean that don't empower
yeah.
women. I mean that these two are separate subjects, but at the same time, they interlink each other, because when a husband feels empowered, then he can only support a woman. If the man doesn't feel empowered, who is he going? He can't even protect himself.
So there is a problem over here. Empowerment.
Sure.
The meaning of empowerment is different for everyone.
Yeah.
My husband feels that I am empowered because I can drive a car, I have a job, I can manage my house chores and my professional life by myself. I can take my decisions, a bank account, I can manage my finances. So he feels that he has given me empowerment. This is his definition of empowerment. Now, there is another husband who feels that, or any random guy, maybe my husband's friend or his relative, they think that I am the poor woman who is managing the house and job all together and facilitating his husband. And my wife is more empowered because she stays at home. She stays at home. I have not allowed her. I have deliberately called her to stay at home. Can you imagine that it's been 1 month that I was visiting I have restricted her by force to stay at home because I love her. I don't want her to go outside and work and come home tired and then make food. So I said, doctor, that's the difference that my husband don't demand home cooked fresh food after I come back home. So I think that he loves me more than so. That's his definition of
Yeah.
empowerment. He was there on my face shaming my husband.
Yeah.
So that was the point I wanted to raise. That the meaning, the definition of empowerment, the meaning of love is it's variable. It's variable. People
But we have to define it, right? We have to educate people to give a standardized
it
definition
happens
so
when
that we can
we
have a
have yeah
conversation about it.
we look what happens that whenever I come to my workplace, I what perspectives I receive are more or less same as mine. But whenever I am surrounded with a social group where the women are not working and the things are very changed, so the perspective I hear is very counter. So we need what we really need is shared places where we can exchange our ideologies, where we can maintain the balance you were talking about. You said that religion is personal for me. For you, religion is personal. For me is also. But for
Yeah.
majority of us, it has become a social issue that it matters
Yeah.
to me that if you have offered your prayers or if you are fasting or you are wearing proper clothes, it is my duty to do it. So again, we need dialogues. We need dialogues. This is our problem that we as a society are not good at talking. What we all
Yeah.
talk about is appearance. What time है?
Yeah.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम क्या हाल है दुबले हो गए हो पतले हो गए हो
Yeah.
That's all we talk about. Nice dress.
Yeah.
Max it goes like मौसम बहुत अच्छा. That's it. What this is
Yeah.
what we all talk about. We don't have social issues because we fear that we might face a reaction, a negative reaction for it. So we need to decrease the level of intolerance, and what I believe is the only solution to it is the practice of talking, the practice of sharing your ideas, the practice of accepting, the practice of one thing is also important over here. There is a huge responsibility on our educational system. What we are teaching. Are we giving cultural awareness? Are we really giving cultural awareness in social sciences? Are we educating our youngsters with cultural variability, the concept of cultural variability? That thing, yet you
But then who's going to create it? Because the people who are in the position of creating a curriculum, they
yeah,
don't
they don't
accept
want
the
it. They don't want it.
values that we are discussing right now. The only people who are talking about these subjects are YouTubers or researchers who have a specific, you can say, like topics that they are interested in. People who are creating curriculum, they need to come up with a curriculum which is highlighting a lot more specific definitions, not just one topic. Like right now, we are talking about marital issues, but it's not, it doesn't just end here. There are a lot of norms. We are looking at your society as a whole, your neighborhood, your friends at workplace, your colleagues at workplace, your when you're a student. So there are a lot of variables that we need to address when it comes to curriculum. And that's the issue. People who have the authority, who have the power to actually create curriculum, don't think the same.
this topic and not even taking little grave is is because of the authority, because we fear sanctions.
Yeah. Yeah.
So things we are. This is the era and how democracy works. Its basic principles of utilitarianism. We need to make more people to our side. And when we say our side, I don't mean that people start talking about marital rape and the taboo topics. What I mean that we just start talking, because
Yeah.
I feel that
Give a platform.
yeah, yeah, at least. What I think is that I am enjoying this conversation. I am loving this time with you right now, because I don't fear that I might be judged. I might face some penalty. I might get some call, or I might
You might.
need to shut. You see?
Probably
But
not from me, but someone from your.
yeah, because it's very difficult to talk on counterculture. And whenever I
Yeah.
say counterculture, people say that it's LGBTQ and
Mhm.
negative portrayal of women's empowerment. But counter is everything that is not dominant culture. Counter is
Yeah.
everything that is not dominant culture. Me sitting over here talking to you was a counter culture 100 years back. It was a counter culture
Yeah.
that women were getting professional education and going to jobs and having their own property. It was a counter culture.
Yeah.
So, at least what is harm in talking?
This is a really good point because I feel like since I've came back to Pakistan and started to discuss about issues which I can see in the society right now in Pakistan, and generally because I'm comparing and I can't think otherwise. I have to compare because I've lived half of my adult life outside of Pakistan and coming back, I have to compare because I come from a different lifestyle and now I have to come and compare it. I don't have another choice. I can't but reflect. And at the same time, I'm not saying that every single thing in Pakistan is bad or Pakistani people are bad or something like that. I want my lifestyle to improve. And for me to improve my lifestyle, I want the society that I am living in to improve. If I'm not going to raise issues which I'm seeing in my neighborhood, in my culture, with families around me, which everybody is suffering, we are going to talk about it when we are suffering, but not when we are not suffering, right? And this is a problem. When, let's say, like if somebody breaks my line, then I'm only going to talk about that, like people don't follow the rules. But if I'm doing it, I'm not going to talk about it. If it is happening to someone else, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm only going to talk about it because it is happening to me right now. If I want to apply for a job and somebody else comes forward and he knows somebody who owns the company or something, I'll talk about it like, this guy has bribed and he has taken my position, which should go to me. But I will do the same if I get the opportunity. Then I'm not going to talk about it. But because it happened to me right now, so I'm going to talk about it. And that is a problem. We cannot solve issues like this if we are part of the problem as well. That went sideways. Anyways, I want to come back to our main discussion. And I want to, before we end our conversation, I want to understand from your perspective all the research that you have done so far on this topic. You have also done comparative study as well. What are the biggest problems that you have seen and what is your solution? If you can summarize a solution in, let's say, like 5-10 sentences, what would be your solution?
The biggest problem I've been facing as a person who digs into religious studies and gender studies is that people say that this is no issue. This is not a problem in Pakistan. That's a Western agenda. Women are very safe, contented at our homes, and you here roaming around and collecting data on a non-issue. You are creating a non-issue an issue. So this is the summary of the reflections I get as a female researcher who is working and writing on gender and religious issues. That's the majority opinion, and I'll be very to complete my PhD on marital rape. My PhD book, the council didn't know that I am Huzaifa and I am standing in the room, and they threw my thesis book away. That we'll see that how it is going to get passed through this meeting. So it was never easy, and it is not going to be easy in near time. But things has improved thanks to electronic media, thanks to the social platforms that at least we, if not in our physical social spaces, but in the virtual spaces, at least the material is there, the conversations are happening like we are having right now. And what I believe is the way of improvement is that we need to educate. We need, because we are very closed society. As I started this with in my conversation, that we need to live in community. So we need acceptance. I need that my co-workers should accept the research proposal I am working on. They need to give me heads up. They need my HODs or my supervisors. They need to see me as a productive member, as a person is not who cannot bring any controversy to the institution. I need their trust because, uh, again, we are not that rational or objective people. Our basic decisions are derived from our values and beliefs and what we like. So we need conversations. We need to educate, and the most of the responsibility lies on our religious and education institutions, because all these institutions, if I talk about family, so family is getting its core values from the other institutions, the political institution, education institution, religious institution, economic institution. So these institutions, foreign, because the dynamics of every society is very different. So in Pakistan, the about my analysis I've been so far is that our most influential institutions are religious institutions and political institutions, and then they control our education institutions. So our institutions need to work. They need to work. 6 years back, I was invited to a private university where I was supposed to talk on mental health and the challenges students face and employees face and how we can combat that. I said that, okay, we are talking about it, we are here, and I'll give you a very empowering talk and you will be very motivated. But after this session, you are going to the office and you're following these same 9 to 5 hours, and you have to take the same congested route. So it's going to be there. What can change is your institution's policy. They were not loving it. I guess they were regretting to invite me because I said it over there. Help you with your mental health, your institution can, by changing their policies, by making working hours flexible. So, and what will happen if we will start to educate our youth on this? After 10 or 20 years, they'll be sitting on these chairs. They'll be the one to dare to take the change. They'll be the one. So we need to embrace our youngsters.
One thing I've also mentioned when I was having a podcast with Sania, and I always raise this issue. We don't need just dialogue, we need positive dialogue. And we can only have positive dialogue if we can get rid of blame culture. Because whenever we have a discussion where we know we are going to blame somebody, you cannot have a dialogue because then the dialogue becomes defensive. If we are going to have a conversation and straight away I can understand that you are going to blame me for everything, we cannot have a discussion because I know I need to defend myself. So there's no dialogue, and this is the problem. Whenever we have a conversation in society right now, there is always one party which is going to be blamed. Sometimes it's going to be women, sometimes it's going to be men, and that's how our dialogues start.
Because there is always a way, a better way of doing it, and we have to
Yeah.
find it out. I am also a trainer for teachers, and when I was having a session with my colleagues, my member trainers, one raised a question that how we can train our superiors, because our senior faculty members might feel that they know it better. So I suggested
Mhm.
that you don't need to be dominant every time. Why you want to dominate? Why we have this concept that we are the teachers and our students have to accept. because we have there is a concept of reactive learning and reactive learning, I'm forgetting the name. So what happens in reactive learning is that teachers give us a concept that A for apple, B for ball, and C for cat. So we are going to react to these three words only. The child cannot come up with any other example except of A for apple. He or she cannot say A for ant or B for beta. That's the reactive. And the second one is proactive, where the teacher shares the idea of vocabulary and asks students to go and find the words and come up the every possible word you think starts from ABC or abaka. So we are the generation, especially the age group I belong, that we have been part of reactive conversations because there are elders. Our elders are family members, our parents, our grandparents, uncle, aunts, and teachers who share certain information, and we are going to react towards it, towards the same frame of information that was provided. And now we want to follow the same practice. So I just suggested that why you want to be a person, why you want the other person to react, why they cannot be proactive, why we cannot share a space where you can say that okay, you are right, I may be wrong, and let's just start it from the start, and let's make it a practice of unlearning and relearning. Yeah. Unlearning and relearning are I think the core principles that make us intolerant, sorry, tolerant enough.
Before we end the conversation, there's a quote that I want to share, which defines the same exactly what you have mentioned over here. Maybe I'm paraphrasing the quote a little bit, but it's a boy cannot grow until he forgets his father's religion. Does it make sense?
Does it make sense? If we are not taking the baggages we were provided, how I am going to explore and create my new reality?
Yeah.
I need to leave behind and then create the new meaning. So I need to empty the bucket to make it fill with the new.
That, and at the same time, you need comparative study to understand whether you are right or wrong.
Yeah.
If you're going to accept that your father's religion is correct 100% and that is it, then whatever new information which will come to you, you cannot accept that that can be right. Maybe it's wrong, but you wouldn't know until you listen to it, you try to understand it in a more objective manner. So
We need to accept that there
Yep.
is existence of cultural variability.
This is the life, this is the society that we live in. And I just hope that with our conversations like this, we can bring at least some change, and maybe we can actually raise awareness between certain platforms which can help people be a little bit more proactive in having more dialogues about topics which we should have dialogues. I mean, that's just my hope that we can raise a little bit of awareness in topics like that. If there is any last words you would want to share with the audience.
Want people to be open-minded. And when I say open-minded is just understand that there is a concept called subjective reality. We create our own realities, and our realities are dependent on our experiences. Not like a chocolate cake of certain bakery because it was not fresh when I bought it. So it doesn't mean that all the flavors of that bakery are not good or than fresh. So it's our experiences, and everybody is having different experiences. So we need to expand the horizon of our experiences. We need to have more exposure, and we need to allow a positive way of having conversations, and we need to accept that cultures are variable. They are not something we can say uniform. They're not always uniform. They are variable.
Thank you so much, Huzaifa. It was really nice to have you on the podcast, and hopefully, we can raise conversations like this in the future on different topics as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Faizan, for having me. As I said, that I love this time because I spoke my heart out, and it's really very difficult when you talk on such topics when the dialogues are institutionalized. So thank you so much. We need people like you. We need platforms like this more.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Same to you.
Ciao.